everyone, and welcome to the Mills podcast and YouTube channel. We are currently doing a series called 10 Questions with the Mills, where we get to know our Mills community better through asking each of our guests 10 questions about themselves. My name is Lofani Tani, and I'm an engagement coordinator at the Mills International Center, and I will be your host for today. Today, we are joined by none other than Marlon. Hello, Marlon.
Hello, Lofani Tani.
How are you doing today?
Well, I am doing relatively good. 7 a.m. over here in Germany. I've had my first coffee, a banana, and I'm ready to go.
It is 7 a.m. I am proud of you for being awake this early.
I'm a morning person, that's okay.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Marlon Johns. I am from Hamburg, Germany, where I'm at right now. And I'm currently studying human physiology at the University of Oregon to, in the end, apply to grad school for chiropractic school and become a chiropractor. At the Mills International Center, I have the cake position, which means that I am the community assessment knowledge expert. In other words, I am trying to figure out how we can serve our visitors best. Additionally, I'm part of the ICSP program. That's the International Cultural Service Program, which I am giving speeches in and around the Eugene community.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself, and thank you so much for being here. I know that it's very early where you're at right now, so I just appreciate you for being here today.
You're welcome.
Without further ado, shall we get into the 10 questions?
That sounds good.
What is one thing you do for self-care?
I have started at the beginning of the term to stretch more often. Initially, the goal was to do yoga, but I have kind of abbreviated it to a 10-minute stretch every single morning. And I'm kind of amazed at how good it makes me feel. My body feels a lot lighter, and it's one of the best things I have done for myself within the last couple years, I think. It makes a big difference. I did not expect that. Additionally, I work out kind of regularly. I've noticed that it kind of depends on how often you work out instead of how long and hard to make you feel better. I grew up in Hamburg, and my parents wanted me to do some sort of self-defense classes where I would learn how to scream for help and run away when I was 4 years old. But apparently those classes weren't too great. My parents have both done martial arts for a couple of years, so they wanted me to do martial arts for at least 1 year when I was 4 years old. And afterwards I can continue or I could quit. But I loved it so much that I continued. So overall, I have done martial arts for a total of 17 years, and I have competed at various competitions. And yeah, that was always fun. It's now a little bit different when I work out, because right now I'm not training for a competition. I'm just trying to feel good. And to a certain extent, I miss it. I miss working out for a competition. But right now, I do not have the time for that. Right now, I have different priorities, but I might get back to that at some point.
Imagine yourself in
about
3
concussions
years.
right now.
What do you hope will be different about
I'm not
you
too certain
then
if I will
compared to
go
now?
back. Not a relative difficult question, but in 3 years, I will be busy. I will be very busy. In 3 years, I will be in chiropractic school, which means that I will be taking classes from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m., only with a 2-hour break in between. And from other students, I've already got to know that even after 6 p.m., you will still need to have a study session for 2 or 3 hours. My wife will most likely be in medical school, or she will be finishing a master's program before she is applying to medical school again. I just think it will be a very busy time, and I hope I will be able to adjust well to that schedule and exceed in my chiropractic program, and be on my way to get a license and hopefully be self-employed at some time.
What would you say is your favorite song right now?
Right now, I really like the song Beautiful Life by Ray Garvey. I think I remember a quote which goes somewhere along, oceans will climb, deserts will die under the stars of this beautiful life, and you get to live the life that you want to live. And it kind of combines two aspects which are very important to me. One, global change and nature, and how in the future we don't change our behavior as humans drastically. The oceans will keep rising, the deserts will keep getting bigger, and at the same time we should enjoy the time we have here on Earth as much as we can and pursue our passions. Actually, in preparation for ICSP presentation, Ray Garvey is an Irish singer who currently lives in Germany, and he speaks German, and my mom and sister are a very big fan of him. And in preparation for the presentation, I was just looking through all the typical most famous German singers, and that's when I found his song. Yeah, the German music scene is very international. We have a lot of international singers residing in Germany and sing in English.
And if you were to give this song a feeling, or if this song gives you a feeling, what would that feeling, what would you explain that feeling as?
Hope, gratitude, and respect. Hope for what might come in the future, for my hopes and dreams. Gratitude for all the people that have helped me to where I'm at right now. And respect for nature, basically respecting our environment.
What's one thing in your life that you're very proud of?
One thing I'm proud of is overcoming a 3-year-long long-distance relationship with my wife. I did an exchange year in 2014, 2015 in the US, where I get to know and get to love my wife. And yeah, after my exchange year, we were in a long-distance relationship for 3 years, and absolutely everyone told us that we should just quit, that it will never work out, that we will just make ourselves miserable. But everyone was wrong, and even my own doubts were unfounded. And yeah, now we're married, and I think we're looking to a great future together.
What would you say that you learned from those 3 years?
Even if others disagree, do what you think is right. Follow your heart.
What's one thing or one person that motivates you?
One thing that motivates me is to bring my family closer together. I now have an American family and I have a German family, and plane tickets are kind of expensive, and it doesn't matter where I will end up, either way in Germany or the US, there will always be a family that I will not be able to see regularly. So my goal is to, at some time, be independent, self-employed, so I can take time off when I want. And my goal is to kind of set up the business in a certain way that I can just leave every once in a while for a month and have enough money to afford plane tickets. That's definitely one of my motivations. Another motivation has been to shadow other chiropractors. It has been great to see my dream kind of being achieved. I have seen that it's possible. That was definitely motivating. Additionally, there is a Latin saying, memento mori, which means that be aware that you have a limited time on this earth, which kind of goes together with the song I just described, Beautiful Life. I'm trying to be aware to use my life to the greatest extent possible, that I do not waste it and truly do what I love.
If you could have one superpower, what would that superpower be?
That's a difficult question, but have you seen the movie Jumper? The movie Jumper is about a guy who realized that he can jump in space. He just needs a picture of a place and he can physically be there and teleport himself through time and space. Yeah, basically teleporting. I wish I could teleport myself and constantly switching between Germany and the US and Germany and the US and then to Asia, Africa, Latin America, and explore the whole world. That would be my superpower.
What is one thing that you're good at?
I like to think of myself to be persistent and determined. I came to the US with barely passing English skills, and now I'm going to grad school in English to study biology, chemistry, physics, and anatomy in English. That's a big step, and it has not always been easy. Learning a new language can be hard, especially in college. I bit myself through hard times and stayed persistent and determined with a clear goal in mind. But I had a lot of help. My family was very supportive. The family of my wife was also very supportive. To conclude it with a book title, I think it's a book title. I'm standing on the shoulder of giants. That's a saying from somewhere. That's what it reminds me of.
What did you want to be when you were younger?
When I was younger, I wanted to become a police officer. Like I said, I've done martial arts for 17 years, and most of my coaches and trainers were all police officers. And I actually applied to become a police officer in Germany before my exchange year, but they did not want to have me because I'm wearing glasses. If you're getting into a fight and someone knocks over your glasses, then you might not be able to determine who is who in 20 yards difference, in 20, 30 yards away. And then 2-3 years later, they came back and were just like, hey, we changed the requirements. Please become a police officer. We don't have enough. But at that point, I was already determined to become a chiropractor. Therefore, that did not happen.
If you could give your 10-year-old self advice, what would you say? What do you think your younger self would say back to you?
The only thing that came to mind is I would tell my younger self to stop playing less video games. I spent a lot of time playing video games, and I kind of wish I would have done something else with that time, learn a guitar, go outside hiking more, or do something else. I've studied a lot of psychology in Germany for an advanced high school degree. And we also kind of learned in what ways video games and even social media in some parts are designed to be addictive. The more time you spend, the more someone earns. I think that even though it's still part of my life to a certain extent, there are also a lot of other great activities that you can do. And my younger self, what would he have responded? I got to hear the same advice a lot from my parents and from my grandparents, but I didn't really do anything. I hope it would be different if I would be telling my younger self exactly the same thing as my parents and grandparents, but I'm not too certain if it would have had an effect.
What's the best advice you've ever been given?
I can think of two things right now. First, it wasn't really a one-time advice, but I'm very thankful for my parents always trying to push me in the right direction. After my exchange year, I wanted to become a sports medicine physician, but I also did not want to be apart from my wife for 6 years. I did not think that studying in the US would be possible back then. So I was objectively trying to look at what I'm good at. And at least back then in high school, I was relatively good at programming in comparison to my classmates. Programming was a sector in the German economy where you could make decent money and which were in dire need of new trainees. Therefore, I employed to become a programmer, but I realized that you maybe shouldn't talk about nutrition and workout routines in an interview to become a programmer, at least even for a small extent. My interviewers could definitely tell that I'm not passionate about it and did not accept me because of the reason of it. And my parents kept also pushing me to try to do something that I would really enjoy, because you will have to do your future job for the next 50 years. I'm glad that I pursue my passion to learn about health instead of being a programmer right now. The second advice was coming from a book, and I have mixed feelings about it. I read the book the book is called Say Yes to Success, and it's from a German motivational trainer who ended up in prison for tax fraud. But I read that book at the right moment in life. I was relatively frustrated with German high school, or the advanced German kind of high school called Abitur, where some people in the Department of Education in my state messed up. I learned about poem analysis for a year and a half. Overall, I got relatively demotivated, not just with this class, but also with others as well, because I did not think that high school was seriously preparing me for my future life. Therefore, I started to read whatever I thought might be useful. I don't know how and where I got the book. I think my mom put it into my room like 5 years earlier. She got it from a friend and didn't want to read it. So I started to read the Say Yes to Success book after school. I came home, sat down, and started to write and underline the book. The main lesson I learned was basically to think in bigger scales, that you do not have to be satisfied with what other people want you to do and expect you to do. In Germany, we kind of have the mindset, go to school, get good grades, and afterwards feel satisfied and feel gratitude for being employed in a big company who doesn't really care about you. Therefore, that book definitely taught me to keep self-improving and keep thinking bigger, really questioning what I want to do with my life. And it kind of started the path of reading a whole lot more books about everything that I thought might be useful in the future.
So those were the 10 questions. Thank you for tuning in for our 10 questions with the Mills. Don't forget to subscribe to the Mills YouTube channel and podcast for more content. Also check us out on social media at the Mills, which is also linked below in the description. Take care.